All right, we're going to talk about credit cards. And what credit cards are is an open-ended loan or a revolving credit. So what happens in an open-ended loan or revolving credit, there is no schedule for paying a fixed amount each period. So these are like credit cards. A lot of times they'll say, well, you're going to pay the balance off. If you buy one thing and you make monthly payments, it'll be paid off in 3 years. Okay, as long as you don't add anything else to it. So a lot of credit cards use this idea of average daily balance method. So what they're trying to do is they're going to find their interest is going to be using IPR. So P is the average daily balance, R is the monthly rate, and T is 1 month, or how many times it is in a month. Okay. So on this R, if they give it to you and they say, well, if R was 18% per year, okay, all I'm going to do is get that monthly rate is just divide that by 12. So that would be 1.5% per year. Okay. So our average daily balance is going to be the sum of the unpaid balances for each day in the billing period. So we're going to look at adding those all together. Kind of, if you had $20 for 5 days, that would be $100, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to take the sum of the unpaid balances, and we're going to divide it by the number of days in the billing cycle. Okay, so we have this example 1. Okay, and so what I did is I created a table here, and so it says the monthly interest rate is 1.3% of the average daily balance. And so what it did is it listed out all this stuff. The previous balance for this person was $1,350. The billing period starts on the first of the month, ends on the last day. And so what happens is on May 8th, they made a payment of $250. Okay, it's a credit. On May 10th, they bought airline tickets for $375. On May 20th, they bought books for $57.50. On the 28th, they went out to eat and they charged it. It was $65.30. And then May 31st is the end of the billing period. Okay? So now we're going to look at, and then the payment is due on June 9th. Okay? So when we're looking at our average daily balances, what I did is I extended out this table to kind of say, well, what was our balance on the first day of the month? Well, it was $1,350, right? That's May 1st. That's when it started. For 7 days, that's how much was owed on this credit card. 7 days, okay? And so then on the 8th, what happened is they made a payment of $250. So I'm going to subtract $250 from my beginning balance for $1,100, and I'm going to figure out how many days it stayed there. Well, it stayed there on the 8th and the 9th. That's 2 days. On the 10th, it had a new charge with airline tickets of $375. So I'm going to add that to my previous balance of $1,100 for $1,475. So it was the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. So 10 days. On that 11th day, charge for the books. Okay, so that's where that 10 comes from. Charge books of $57.50. Add that to my previous day. We have 8 days. Restaurant had went for $65.30, so add that in. And then this is 4 because the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, 4 days. Now what we're going to do is to find those balances at each amount. We're going to multiply these values here. So I'm going to take my balance times how many days that balance was there. So I'm going to take 1,350 times 7, get 9,450. 1,100 times 2 is 2,200. 1,475 times 10 is 14,750. 1,532.50 times 8 is 12,260. 1,597.80 times 4 is 6,391.20. And then I'm going to add these all together for $45,051.20. Okay. Now, there are 31 days in this billing cycle. So I'm going to divide that number by 31 for an average daily rate of $1,453.26. So this is how much is on that credit card on average every day. It's $1,453.26. Now to calculate my interest, what I'm going to do is interest is I equals principal times rate times time. So I'm going to take that average daily balance, 1,453.26, times my monthly rate in a decimal, 0.013 times 1, or how many months it's at this. So I have interest of $18.89. Now, if I want my balance as of June 1st, my balance is going to be my my original balance plus the interest I've accrued. So I'm going to go $1,597.80 plus $18.89 for new balance as of June 1st of $1,616.69. Now, a lot of times what will happen is they're going to look at this and try and figure out how you can pay off this balance in roughly 3 years, okay? So if the balance is less than $365, a minimum payment of $10 is required. Well, our balance is not less than $360. So otherwise, a payment of $136 is used. What is the payment? So now I'm going to take this $1,616.69. I'm going to divide it by 36 to get my payment that is due on June 9th. So I divide that out, I get approximately $45 for a payment, okay? So that's kind of an idea on credit cards. So we're going to talk about some advantages and some disadvantages of credit cards, okay? So some of the advantages, okay? You get the product before you actually pay for it, okay? So you get that item that you need, you get it right there. Typically, there's no interest charges by paying the balances due at the end of the billing period. So if you pay these each month, so if you charge something for $20 and then you immediately pay it, you don't draw interest. It's a way to build up your credit score. You don't need to carry large amounts of cash in your around with you. A lot of times it's easier than checks, and checks are kind of going away. We don't typically use a lot of checks. A lot of times they offer better consumer protections. So you can have, if there's fraudulent charges, you can get those disputed. It provides emergency funds. So a lot of times it'll give you extended shopping opportunities. So if you want to go rent a car or pay for a hotel, a lot of times it's much easier to use a credit card. A lot of times you can't even use cash to pay for those. You have a monthly itemized statement that helps you keep track of items. Some of them have amenities like free miles or cash back or stuff like that. And it provides another identification. Now, those are kind of the benefits. The woes are really, really important, okay? Typically, they have high interest rates, okay? 18% is not unheard of. Depending on your credit score, it could be even higher. It could be a little bit lower. A lot of times there's no caps on it. They can have severe penalties associated with credit card if you don't pay on time. Or if you go over your limit, there's a lot of times huge penalties, and those penalties can incur and then get you charged another penalty, okay? It's really easy to overspend and get into a position where you're spending more than you're bringing in. Credit cards provide an illusion of not spending as much. It can really put you into financial trouble. So the fees and interest, by making the minimum payment trap. Credit cards, is worse by paying only the required minimum. It allows you to pay for 3-4 times as much as the actual value of it is. It does build it up. You can go online and see the average American has X amount of dollars in credit card. Credit cards are a huge expense in the US right now. It's one of the things to watch out. There are advantages to credit cards though. Having a credit card does provide some security, gives you that emergency fund. Just make sure you use it responsibly. A lot of people use debit cards. Sometimes debit cards are very similar to credit cards, okay? By not having that readily cash there, it doesn't incur that you're spending as much as you normally would. The good thing about debit cards is most of them don't allow you to overspend. It only allows you to spend what's in your account, okay? So debit cards are typically replacing a lot of times those checks and things like that are paid in cash, okay? So that's credit cards. It is a tool. Just like any tool, it can be good, it can be bad. It depends on how you use it.